SVG did it again. And I got to ask you, Brandon, obviously driving for Collie Racing, we've grown accustomed to seeing them up front on these road course races with AJ Allmendinger over the last, I mean, my goodness, I guess 5 years now in the Xfinity Series. But with SVG and the team now, obviously what he's done the last 2 weekends, is he officially Collie's new king of the road courses? And I guess with Chicago, you can throw the street courses in there as well.
I guess he's starting to become that. I mean, AJ Allmendinger has really been beating himself up here lately, and he's got even more reasons to be mad after Sonoma with the scruff there with um, Sheldon Creed, uh, which was funny to see on the broadcast. But yeah, he's maybe much more than just the new king of road courses for Collie Racing. But um, I'll take from cues from Chocolate Myers on Sirius XM this afternoon. Give him a little more time. He's going to figure these ovals out too, and then watch out. It's really impressive to see how quickly he's been able to adapt over here. But at the same time, it's pretty similar with the big heavy car. I mean, not an exact copy, but the beating and banging aspect of things is fairly similar to what he was used to cutting his teeth in Australia and New Zealand. His homeland, of course, being the Kiwi in New Zealand. But there's a lot of similarities to pull from there. But the fact that he's able to come here and get in Xfinity after kind of dipping his feet in the water last year, of course, the big win in Chicago, been able to come this year in the summertime, Portland, boom, Sonoma, boom. That's really impressive. And I know we're getting a lot of traction just because we say SVG and Shane Van Gisbergen. Welcome, everyone from New Zealand and Australia. It's been fun to interact with you in the comments of our snippets of this show that go on later on throughout the week.
Yeah, like we said, obviously, there's it's clear that SVG is the king of road courses right now in this series, and I think he said it, of course, last week after Portland. Next goal was winning on an oval. He didn't have the opportunity to do that this weekend, obviously being in another road course. But you see, we got Iowa coming up next week, and we'll see if he can break through there. What a story that would be! My goodness, if he could win 3 in a row and get an oval win, something that Juan Pablo Montoya wanted to do when he came over from Formula One and Card was unable to do so. Marcus Ambrose the same way. Obviously, very similar background coming over from supercars. Won several times at Watkins Glen. Got a couple race wins down in Nationwide / Xfinity as well, but could never quite break through at the top level on an oval. I know SVG, certainly has great ambitions to do that, and if he can, to the point you were making there, Brandon, as well, the rest of the field's going to have to watch out because he's going to be a lock to, if not win the race, at least be competitive. Probably, assuming nothing goes wrong, finish in the top 5 at minimum on these road courses. And with more than ever on the schedule nowadays, plays right into his hands. In terms of the schedule, and if he can figure out the ovals, certainly, I think, we'll see. Still has a long way to go, I think. In terms of just how radically different those types of tracks are, but if he can figure those out, certainly at the Xfinity level, I think you can pencil him in as a championship contender because we know he's got the road and street courses down for sure.
Yeah, the winning on an oval would definitely be the key for him to rise above the Marcos Ambrose, the Max Pappas, on Pablo Montoya. That would just really be his next level, wouldn't it? Just to conquer the oval, you really would set yourself apart. Of okay, I am in a different tier than those that have come before me and done the same thing.
Well, let me ask you this, Brandon, because I know that this came up on Sirius XM this afternoon. I think Jeff Cluck and Alan Cavana were filling in fresh off of their weekend at Sonoma. Didn't get to listen to the show, but I know that this was a point of discussion. If SVG can win on an oval later this year in Xfinity, or even if he doesn't, even if he just continues to show steady improvement in his competing for wins, do you think 2025 is too soon to move him up? Would you give him that opportunity if a ride opens up? We know charters are going to be available with Stewart Haas, and who knows what's going to happen there. If there's a place to fill a seat with SVG, do you take that opportunity, or would you give him another full Xfinity year before making that jump?
Honestly, I would play it safe. If I was the owner, I'd play it safe and play another year in Xfinity. But It looks like Trackhouse Racing is where he wants to go. Justin Marks uh, has his eye closely on him. He also is looking at Connor Zilic. He's got Zane Smith in the wing. There's a lot of potential there at Trackhouse, but just someone's got to go somewhere, and someone won't. How soon those things happen will be up to time itself. But if I was in the driver's seat, though, I would not put Shane Van Gisbergen in the Cup Series immediately in 2025. Even if he wins on an oval, I would still hold off. I think it's too soon. But some people have different philosophy and see when you see greatness like that, then you better jump at it while it's hot, or you might miss a window per se.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see both sides of it. I think obviously the mentality, and we see this more so in Europe with the F2 to F1 ladder, but the idea, of course, being if you win a championship, then it's assumed that you're ready for the next step, and you actually aren't even allowed to come back and defend your title. I don't know, but I'd put a championship on SVG's radar just yet. Although now when I think about it, he did have a pretty strong run at Phoenix in the spring, if I recall correctly. You never know with this crazy championship
Phoenix
playoff bracket and format that we have now. What's going to happen? We know obviously he's locked in with these 2 wins now, but I think that's probably setting our ambitions a little bit too high here for year 1 when he's still figuring out the ovals. If he can just get 1 win on the ovals, I think that's a massive step forward here, and we'll see. But I would probably lean towards the same strategy you have, Brandon. I would say give him another full Xfinity season, but again, it's a very interesting case right now with Colleague, not being where they want to, be performing in the Cup Series right now, and what's going to happen with that program. I know Chris Rice is insisting that a merger is not on the table, but how rumors continue to persist, we'll see. But we also have the charter agreements seem to be stalling a little bit. We got more updates on those over the last 24 hours, so that's going to be interesting. But there are also some rumors that they may limit teams to 3 full-time entries and charters, and the Hendricks and Gibbses of the world will be grandfathered in, I guess. But we thought maybe if Trackhouse was interested in going up to 4 teams, then maybe they'd have enough for all the drivers that they seem to have under their family here. But they like Ross Chastain, they like Daniel Suarez. If they are limited to only 3 for whatever reason, whether that's from NASCAR or just from a business standpoint for them individually, would you put Zane Smith in there? Would you hold off until Connor Zilic is ready? That's probably multiple years down the road. Or do you take a chance on SVG and put him in Cup car full time? I think there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered there.
Yeah, if I'm SVG and I get the Cup offer for, sorry, Echo is speaking to me. Our Amazon family of products here at the house. But if I was SVG and I was offered Trackhouse, I would take that. If I'm offered Colleague in Cup, I would say, well, hold on, because there's the level of Cup caliber where if I'm SVG, I want the best chance and not the third best chance or 4th best chance, respectively.
Stick with Colleague and Xfinity. Obviously, it's going
very
well so far this year, and we'll see. They can bounce back, because even the Xfinity program, I think, you look at AJ Allmendinger's performance coming back to Xfinity full time this year. I think, Josh Williams, especially, he had some speed here on these road courses the last couple of weeks, which is good to see. But he's needed that, because he in particular, that 11 car really hasn't been up to speed. So they're obviously, we talked about their Cup program a lot, but even the Xfinity program, I think, still has some steps forward that they're trying to take back and get back to the level that they were at when AJ was running full time in 21 and 22.
Yeah, you see these Xfinity mainstays from Colleague, AJ trying to go to Cup with it, stalled, came back, and now we see Daniel Hemrick in limbo at Colleague Racing. It's hard. It's hard to watch.
Yep, no doubt. Let's catch up on the chat here. Max Fish, good to see you here. Looking forward to SVG and Larson going at it. Yeah, I think you get those 2 together in the Cup Series. If the Coda deal is any indication, and that was another thing, I guess we should mention the 3-way battle on that day with Austin Hill. I guess Austin Hill considers it potentially even now, although Hill didn't come out on top at Coda. That was Larson, obviously, but that was an interesting. I love these drift burnouts that he's doing all the way around the track. I mean, that's really cool to see, but
We got to
I don't
talk
know.
about that.
I don't know if he
um,
planned it or not, but there was that photo of him doing the burnout, waving to the crowd, and Austin Hill's got the one finger salute out of his window based on how that
yeah,
battle went down.
it could be interpreted as "eat my smoke, here I
Yeah,
come." Around all of the competition I just beat on the burnout, it's like the ultimate diss track around a road course, which is all we've seen SVG do it at so far. But he's gotten pretty good at that. That's kind of a supercar special, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And again, Hill ended up finishing fifth, so not all was lost, but I'm sure he would have loved to avenge what happened to him at Coda. That's the word I was looking for, and take the win at Sonoma, but came up short there. Austin Green, I want to give a shout out to him. Go check out Brock's channel if you haven't already. He followed up with David Green, who was working as an official at Sonoma this weekend. Got a brief interview with him, and I know they were ecstatic to see him finish up there in the top five. Preview to my one shining moment potentially. Stay tuned to the end of the show for that. Yeah, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer. We'll get into Mayer a little bit later on here as well with what he did in the ARCA West race, but let's continue catching up on Max's comments here. Not as much push and shove, not so supercars. They break too easily and get penalized. So making the comparison there. And speaking of comparisons, Max thinks SVG is a class above Ambrose, and
I agree already.
I wouldn't disagree with that. You know, Marcus Ambrose was very competitive on the road courses here, but I don't think he was winning this quickly when he came over to NASCAR. It took him some time to break through, and I still remember that battle with Carl Edwards, him leading going into the final chicane and hopping that curb, and Carl coming through and taking the win there. An absolutely heartbreaking ordeal for him, but of course he came back later and was able to get some wins of his own. And you know, that's just the nationwide Xfinity Series. Obviously, you think of him as Sonoma in that JTG car. He probably should have won that race in 2010, but you know, just timing, shutting the engine off, trying to save fuel on an uphill, that cost him there. So SVG not falling into those mistakes that cost Marcus Ambrose a couple of road course wins early on in his NASCAR career. I don't disagree with that at all. I think the fact that he has been able to close the deal twice now on back-to-back weekends in Xfinity, and then, of course, at Chicago last year in the Cup Series, yeah, you could certainly say he's a class above Ambrose.